Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. We are thrilled to have you here at USA Global TV and Radio. We provide world-class education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. And we want to give a big shout out to our new followers over on Instagram. Thank you so much for being with us today. Our program is Coexistence and Sustainability with Pet Psychic AMINAH. And our topic today is traveling with your pets during the holidays. Let's find out more about this, as we know how many of you out there have pets and you're going places, and how can you keep them safe? Welcome to the program, Pet Psychic AMINAH. Hello.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you are in a sunny place, because we're both pretending to be in sunny places.
It is definitely not sunny today here in Florida, but it's sunny in our hearts, of course.
Absolutely.
So as I just mentioned, we have some new people joining us on Instagram. This is the first time we've been streaming to Instagram, so we're really thrilled, and we welcome them, as well as all of our regular viewers on our other platforms. Today, by the way, I didn't get to tell you, AMINAH, that it is a milestone as we crossed 1 million views today for this year alone, which is huge. Wow. And we'll be celebrating our second year and our anniversary get together on January 14th. So lots of excitement. And thanks to you for being here since the beginning. So let's have you give a little bit of background about yourself for people who are joining us for the first time. And they're wondering, again, a pet psychic, coexistence, sustainability, what does it all have to do with each other?
Well, boiling it down for everybody is, if you like to eat, go to the movies, drive your car, anything, then we have already all learned that we've got to do better. And what we're trying to help everybody go along with it, and how we can, in our own expertise or our own backgrounds, say, this is what's working for me. This is what hasn't worked for me. And what's really great about this platform, Dr. Jacalyn, is we have so many great people that we're all going to come from a different position maybe, but all going towards the same goal. We want people to love better, whatever that is, your pets or your family, and also figure out how we can stop over consuming. If I had a small thing for climate change and the things we're losing, it's just a lot of it can be taken back to, we just want more and want more and want more and want more. But what did we do to give back? And we can give you a lot of tips, and how to live with your family, how to cook better meals. And I'm going to walk you through and help how you do better with your pets on whatever level that is.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes. I was just listening to one of the key people who is on Shark Tank. I'm not going to mention his name, but he was giving advice to someone about what he would tell his younger self. And basically it's to stop consuming as much, stop buying as much. We buy so much stuff, and then we don't have any place for it. We get a bigger place, and we need storage units. And then we decide we don't want it, and we put it out on the street and wherever.
See how full my little bucket is? And it's like, oh, but I might need that napkin. But I don't know, why would I have a tag? But just what you're saying, we just keep too much. I'm in the process of cleaning my office, and just what you said, downsizing. It's absolutely perfect what you said, because I got these little buckets and I was like, oh, but it has an eraser in it. Oh, and it has this. Do you use pencil anymore? But I might.
Right. Well, I think it also starts with before you actually make the purchase too.
Yep.
Do you really need it? Are you going to need it 5 years from now? So I think there's all different ways to look at it. So we're going to move on to our topic, which is traveling with your pets during the holidays. And this is the holiday time of year and people are on the move. And there's a number of ways that they can keep their pets safe. What are your thoughts for people who are traveling by car?
You need to know your pet. For this conversation, I really want to go to basics, because that's where we need to start. If your pet has traveled a great deal and has a carrier, all of that thing is very important. When I had my German Shepherd and rescued him from a house, everybody's heard the story. You can look back on all of those. And he was crated at the back of the truck. Now I had a double cab, so I was lucky enough that he was behind the cab, and I knew that he could get out of the wind, get out of the, we never traveled while it was raining or anything like that. What we failed, I think, to realize as pet parents, or we get so busy packing for grandma's great dinner we're going to, or we're expected here, get on the freeway before the traffic gets bad. Make sure you give yourself time to actually think about, okay, we're going to be in the car for this long, or we're going to be on a bus, or we're going to stop here. Where are we going to take a break? All of this stuff. And I have to say, yes, I'm an organizer just by birth, and that's how I look at the world. But I also watched my father do this. We traveled the United States over and over and over.
Yeah, and when you travel quite extensively, especially outside the United States, you do learn quite a bit, especially about other cultures. So I know for sometimes people are traveling just by foot. I know we live here in this area. It's very religious. A lot of people walk to temple, and they've got their children with them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's all different ways that people do travel. So if they're traveling by car, I know you've mentioned this before about how you can keep them secure. I've seen people still, they've got their dog, the giant dog, in the front seat with the window, the dog's leaning outside the window. And I think if this guy stops fast, it's not going to be pleasant. What are your thoughts?
Well, and the other things are what you're saying is we leave their face out. Would you put your face out? Well, we're not dogs, so I get that. But maybe you love a good cool breeze. Maybe, somebody's having a hot flash, or you have an argument and get all hot, and what is that for clubfoots, whatever. One of the comedians used to say, think about, you're driving down a road, a freeway, a gravel road, whatever it is. Even if you're on the highway, there are rocks everywhere. There are people throwing trash out. There are things. So when your car goes by and kicks it up, that goes in somebody's face. Having your pets have their head out is lovely if it's open this much. They can get that breeze. They can get that, but their head is not out. You wouldn't want your children to do it. You wouldn't want to do it yourself, because I would love, not really, but that bad love of hearing the ER people say, how many people come in with gravel in their eye, or God forbid something. We need to protect our eyes. You only just get the two and you need to take care of it. Same with your pet. Same with your pet. You don't want them sticking their face out. Now, if they have a long nose, they can go a little bit, but can you imagine how terrible their nasal cavity will be with all that debris kicking up from the road and the bushes or whatever? And that's another bill that we don't need to risk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I think about it, sometimes when I'm driving, I put the window down and then I might put my hand out. I'm like, no, what am I doing? I put it back in. Like, why am I putting my hand? Rip it right off, But I don't think people really take that into consideration when it comes to their pets. I mean, you're right. They have two eyes and you want to protect
mouth, nasal, ears. They got lots of holes for something. And just think, if it's a wasp, or it is a, do you know what a foxglove is?
No.
Okay. So here, because I can't imagine, you might not even have them in Florida. That's something we'd have to look up, or other states, New Orleans, all of that. I don't know if they have them. They are stickers that are weeds. And what happens is we get this, once in a while rain thing, and you get all the weeds, the seeds are coming up. It looks like it should be like in a cornfield. If you had a whole yard of it, it would look very, very whitish yellow, and it's very skinny. And at the top is a foxglove. And what it does is it breaks off eventually, and it has all kinds of little spikes coming up. This is tiny. This is only about this high, and it is like a fishing hook. So if you know about fishing hooks, they have burrs on the side. So when the fish eats it, you can't push the hook back out of their mouth. It gets stuck in their mouth. Foxgloves do the same. But foxgloves, if you don't know, this is why brushing your pet every day is so vital, because it's going to have you check everything under their arms, under their neck, through their paws. Foxgloves, typically when they're a problem for a pet, is getting in the toes. This little thing that is absolutely made in a V with a really sharp, it literally will burr its way, and your pets are going to be chewing their toes, and they're going to be whining eventually, and then infection eventually hits in, and people lose their toes this way. Animals lose their toes this way. It can go into an eye. It can go in their throat. So if you've got all that wind, it's all great. You want to have your dog stick their head out of the car. It's a really bad idea, because all that debris is being kicked up, all that debris. So you've got foxgloves, you got dirt, you got glass, somebody broke something and it kicks up with your tires. Just don't. Have a little hand fan. And you can have one of your kids, or you fan your animal, or you have a great air conditioning. Most of us have air conditioning in our car. It's not like the older days where we were dying in the car because nobody had air conditioning. Pets should not, categorically should not ever have their heads outside. If you wouldn't let your children do it, or you wouldn't do it, I don't care if they beg you. Get a little hand fan and stick it in their face. And eventually they'll think that's great, because you can regulate that. You can decide how long you hold it, or you don't, put on a little stick. And you're pulling air from in a car or in a house. I don't know about you. I don't carry a lot of dirt in my house to kick it up into a fan. Does that make sense?
Yes, that definitely makes sense. What about when people are leaving their pets in the car as they're running back and forth doing errands?
Every time you leave a child or a car or a pet, every time you risk their life. It could be 5 minutes. It could be the building fell on you, and who plans for that? Or there's an earthquake. I live in earthquake country. Buildings fall, not very much anymore. But when I was a kid, we didn't have reinforced buildings. We didn't have walls that were holding up walls. Just think about, yes, you can't take your pet everywhere, but do they need to be sitting in the car while you go do errands? Because if you all of a sudden bump into a friend and you get into a conversation, we've all done it, and you're 15 minutes late, and I grew up in the high desert, and you got a dog or a cat locked in a car, I don't care if you've got the window open this much, just so they don't jump out. It's not enough air. Not for a half hour, 15-minute conversation for you that you're standing in the shade. Even if you put your pet in the car under a shade tree, does that mean it's cool enough for them? I don't know. But the pros and cons. My pet lives healthy, or we take a risk. Now, there are emergencies. There are times when there is not an ability to do anything, a car accident, somebody has a heart attack. This is not the conversation we're having. We're having normal, everyday things you can choose to do with your pet in the car, or you don't.
Excellent. Thank you for clarifying that. I again want to say hello to our new viewers on Instagram. And if anyone's out there, because this is actually something new that StreamYard just offered, are you able to see us? Are we clear? Are you able to hear us? If anybody can put something in the comment, if that's possible. Thank you. So we're talking today about traveling with your pets during the holidays. And we first discussed the fact that your pet is one of a kind, and it's your family member, and to drive with your pet's face out the window or your pet's paws out the window is very dangerous. And although you might not think so, anything can kick up or fly up. I know personally for myself, even when I'm outside walking, I'm always wearing glasses because I don't know if I'm going to kick up a stone or something, it's going to come into my eye. So keep your pets inside the car if you would, and make sure that they're getting the air that they need, whether it's from the air conditioner, if you have one of those fans you can stick onto the dashboard. And then when you are running in to do errands, remember that you might get distracted, or maybe they're having a great deal and you're buying as much as you can in the store. Your pet's still waiting for you outside. So is it possible?
Living, yeah, their body might be there, but
right.
Heat stroke, people I don't think understands. If you grow up in places like I do, being an athlete and playing sports in a high desert, so 112, 100 and whatever was normal. We got out on the courts at 6 a.m. During the heat, during the really summer. Because if during summer it was like, what are you doing? Well, I'm a coach's daughter, so we're doing this professionally. We traveled all over the place, all over the county competing. So you're not going to start playing a sport or football or whatever at noon. That's not a thing. We all came out, every athletic group around, even the swimmers. We all came out at 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning, got ourselves on the cart. By 10, pushing it up there, we were grabbing, water was really important. We didn't have drinking fountains on the courts at that time. They do now. And then you're going out. And you're going to hibernate or cool down. But water is essential for all of us to live. And I mean trees, bugs, pets, people. Water is essential. So if you're not worried about climate change or you don't think it's a real thing, I honor that. I respect that, but I encourage you, just because you don't know anything about it doesn't mean you can't learn. And if you're listening to our shows, I know for me, I'm not pointing fingers. There's no blame. If you don't know, you don't know. And I hope people will give me the same courtesy and say, I don't know that. Can you tell me what that is? If you don't know why a culture is doing something, it's not automatically, oh, well, that's stupid. You don't know that. You absolutely. I have the perfect example. This was in my psychology class. I haven't thought of this in years. So I think it was, a piece of paper, and there were holes. Like you make snowflakes when you're kids. We fold it, and make the snowflakes or something like that. Well, this woman would always cut. I don't even remember what she cut, but like a peanut butter jar, she would leave the lid, when the company makes a seal and then you pull it off after you buy it. So she would keep all those on and re-glue it or something and do these weird things. Her husband's like, what are you doing? I mean, like 10 years into their marriage, like, I don't get it. She said, oh, well, when I was a kid, the eggs didn't fit and the jar didn't fit. So we had to squish it all together. And it's like, so she doesn't know that she now doesn't need to do that because it's not part of her life. So don't judge people about why they're doing what they're doing. It might not work in your house. It might not work the way you drive. But that's why every state has guidelines of what this line means and what this line doesn't mean and what you can go past. Be aware that safety is all of our concerns. And the same with your pets. If your pet refuses to take medicine, depending on the illness, talk to your vet about tricks, because pets are not great at swallowing pills. That is not a thing. They really need. That means you have to get down into their throat and really get the pill, so it's too late. They can't pull it back up. But have you heard of peanut butter? put it all over the pill and they eat it and they're like, oh, this is great. And pretty soon the pill is dissolved in their mouth with the peanut butter. But make sure you talk to the vet and say, can I give it peanut butter? Because does it negate the medication? There are many, many things like orange juice can be given with so many things like iron. Great team effort there. But if you're going to have something like iron and you have to give it to your pet and you give them milk from a cow, I don't know about almond milk, right there, it could negate the medication or the vitamin C, G, D, B, whatever in the pill that you're trying to get. I want everybody to not waste their time, waste their money. And they're like, well, they didn't get better. We don't know what we don't know. So why on this show, thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn, I'm able to give a lot of little stuff and say, look at what you're doing. There is a reason. And we don't always have to run off to the doctor. We can talk to other pet parents. We can talk to, we can get information online.
Absolutely.
And what is it? The search engines are amazing. They're getting better and better and better with more information.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've been sharing here for 2 years. So you're one of our original pioneers when we were rapping with Dr. Jacalyn. So thank you so much for all of the education and knowledge and expertise that you've been sharing. As I've mentioned, and it's continuous, it's a continuum of how much I've learned from you and how I've changed my own life and the things that I'm doing. As I mentioned, just a quick digression, I used to have candles all over the house. I don't use candles at all. And I don't use those dryer things you throw in the dryer. I don't do that. I don't do dry cleaning anymore if I can't.
Wow, with how nice your clothes are, I'm a little surprised. And you're so busy. Those are things I definitely believe. I think my daughter, just watching her practice this thing, is that we all deserve to be pampered in some way. And with you, I would think, at least you have my blessing, not that that weighs anything, is you have this fabulous job and you've created this amazing world for all of us professionals to share willingly. And that's your whole team. I think we're all heart-centric. We are all giving-centric. And you went out and found us all. I had never met you, and when you reached out to me, and I'm like, yeah, sure, because I've been a public speaker my whole life. And I was 9 when I gave my first one. Of course, it was on animals. So I want to really applaud you by the group you're putting in. Some of that, you need some perks. Maybe, I don't know, you love gum or you love candy or whatever. One brownie's not going to kill you.
Well,
but it's the whole plate is the problem.
I've been baking chocolate chip cookies, so I'm covered.
Oh, yummy.
I'm popping over to Instagram now because the way this is set up with StreamYard, I can't actually see Instagram at the same time as I'm looking at the platform. But we do have some people who are watching. Thank you very much. We've got Barbara. Hello. We've got Pripert. Hello. Heather Joy, who's on our team. Nice to have you. And Encoleta, Encoleta Etiquette, we just interviewed you today and she's joining our team. Hello, hello. So we've got a couple of comments from Heather Joy. She writes, so true. I have cats and it's awful trying to get some of them to take pills. And then she also writes, I did get some tips from a friend about giving meds to my cats, which really helped. Thank you.
Well, I would love to hear them because that's what everybody, feel free. I'm sure Dr. Jacalyn can read a few more lines if you type it in, is depending on the pet and how big the pill is. Of course, when I was working in a vet clinic and carrying that over, you want to get as deep as you can so they can't keep spitting it out. Because eventually the second, depending on the pill, second or third time, the pill is just a mess. It's just powder all over. And so you're double dipping and you don't know how much, if that medication was enough. Yeah, it's just messy. When you can make it into a liquid, if you check with the pharmacist, because they're the expert on these drugs. Can I put it in water? Maybe you have the pet that will lick it all up and completely ignore it. Because if it dissolves pretty much completely, maybe change colors or something like that, gets the water a little funny taste. If you don't have the pickiest cat on the planet, the cats especially, and you have whatever pet, they'll just drink it. And they'll go, it's kind of funny tasting. But just like all of our parents probably, mine just looked at me and said, just take it. Because again, I'm a fifth child. My mom didn't have patience for that. And a spoonful of, oh gosh, that cold medicine, cough medicine, that was nasty. That was nasty stuff when we were kids. But you can talk to the professionals and say, hey, really doesn't like me pushing a pill down. And they have these really neat things that they look like, a couple of them look like cigarettes, you know, were the white ones, but it has a spring on it where it just pushes the pill out. So as long as you get it close enough to the back of their throat, because if you put it on their tongue, where's it going to be? On the floor. They're going to spit it out.
Right. Well, I think something else, and then we'll get back to talking about traveling with pets, because if you have to give medication, that's important. But, you know, I've seen this with people also, as you get older, your throat starts to close, and just the thought of putting a pill or a vitamin or something, that's not something that everybody can do. So you have to mash it up, or you put it into some kind of liquid. And again, it's important to check, because will that liquid negate the
the A, B, C, D, whatever in it.
Right.
Somebody's like, oh, I can put it in peanut butter. And with pets, that works really, really well.
Yes.
They're going to get to the pill eventually. So you just go, hopefully they're just OD'd on that peanut butter, because it's the only time I give it, especially if you've got an epileptic animal or person with a long-term permanent condition. These medications are absolutely essential, absolutely essential. I learned years ago, I have a tremor disorder. And so I've had it my whole life. And so I am on a nerve calming medication. Well, I can't have that with this, or I can't have that with this, or that, or that. As a woman, you know this, so many of us are anemic, just going through periods or whatever. I am really, really fortunate. Menopause never happened. It just, one day I had a period, one day I didn't. Everybody's like, when did that happen? I don't know. It's just, again, my crazy body, but I still have to take the iron. It doesn't matter. So I want, my point is telling all this stuff, because it's not personal anymore. It's just every body, including your animals, are going to need you to pay attention to what works, what doesn't work. We have everything from, if the pharmacist says dairy is okay, you can put a little bit of yogurt and or cottage cheese or something nutritious and hide the pill in there. And man, most pets will lick the spoon like crazy and won't even know that the pill is in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for that. I'm going to pop over to Instagram. We've got another comment from Heather. We love that you're engaging with us, Heather. Thank you. Heather is a producer here at USA Global TV and Radio, and she's also a genius when it comes to marketing. So please do. Yeah, you can reach out to her. You can find her there, Heather_Joy606. She writes, yes, dip the pill in a tiny bit of butter, open their mouths, throw it in, and then blow in their face.
Yep.
It sounds bad, but it shocks them enough to swallow it. How about that?
It does. And it's a tried and true. I love that you brought it up. That is perfect. Tried and true method. Because think about it. If somebody blew in your face, you'd go, ooh.
Right.
And if you see how I do that, you let go any that, you know, where the pill is, and the animal's trying to spit it out, and they go, ooh, and poof, it's done. And you encourage them with some liquid. Maybe it's chicken broth day, and you give a little bit of that. But again, before you take anything extra with the pill and use it as a modality to get it into the pet, talk to your vet. Read whatever the pharmacy wrote on it and says, you know, calcium, don't do this, do this. There's so many things you cannot do together. Calcium and iron, bad combination. The calcium, if I took a drink of milk or any kind of dairy, and then I had my medication or the iron tablets, I just wasted more tablets, because they kill each other out. So it is a science project. It is to know. This is not a easy street of, now it's not complicated. It's not difficult. It's just something I want you guys to be aware of, so you're successful. with your pets. If for one reason or another they need to have medication, it is a really great tool to have. And your vet techs, all of them will walk you through it. But they're not going to be there again. You have to go and pay for more time to get them to share. So us pet owners should share what's working.
Yeah, that's what's happening today. Let me see if we've got, we've got another comment from Heather. I travel with my cats and I have to give them calming treats. Yeah, thank you. By the way, I tried typing into Instagram and it's showing that I'm writing backwards. So I've stopped writing. So I don't know.
Well, that's
and it was hello backwards. So let's go back with the traveling with your pets. So this is great about the medication and about the treats. What about the seatbelt? Do you put the seatbelt on your pets, your dog or your cat or whatever you might have?
The bigger the animal, the bigger the answer is yes. The smaller the animal, carriers should be enough. Okay. And I mean something that fits on the floor, not the back of the station wagon, if anybody even owns a station wagon, but the minivan or the truck or whatever. If you have, for example, a Burmese mountain dog, this is one of the big dogs, that is probably going to go in the back of your truck. What I hope you do is have a minivan and they can be in the van instead of the truck. If you are needing to use a truck, especially for a dog that large, greyhounds, any of the really, really big dogs, then what they have is they have a, now you could put these on a bungee, but they will break down. They have it where it will hook to the bed where, like if you had a top and it would hook, or you would put a place to tie things, like trucks are known for, they're hauling something. So on the side, inside of the bed at the top, there will be hooks or a place to put a rope. And you can put a rope close to the cab and have them have a little bit of, be able to lay down and stand up. But it's about safety. So it's very limited. And then you'll get the leash or the bungee cord or whatever you find that is secure to keep your animals. What you don't want to do, and we haven't talked about this, I don't think, Dr. JACALYN, is faces out of windows. You don't do it with your kids. Don't do it with your pets. What will be kicked up by the road of no way you would know, a piece of wind or this or this, it could be a piece of a leaf. It could be a foxglove. It could be gravel. And we absolutely, when I was working in a vet clinic, you come across those animals that are blind because they were carried in the back of a truck. So some states in the United States, you need to check on what's the regulation. What do you have to have? Because when we went, when our shepherd got full size, I went and got a big old dog carrier, strapped the carrier in, and then I knew he was comfortable. He has no access to the wind. I had the cage and the door coming towards the back of the bed. These are things you need. You must take advantage of learning and finding out, because nobody wants to put their dog through any kind of such trauma and pain of losing an eye for even just vision or the eyeball altogether. Because if the eyeball dies, the doctor will take it out and they will live fine, but they won't see like that anymore.
One of our team members, that just happened to his dog. Somebody, I don't know what the situation was, but it ended up that it was an accident, but this person ended up hitting the dog in the head, and they did 3 different surgeries, I believe, on the dog. I learned that the dog has multiple layer eyelids. And
Right.
So I think they removed, I don't know how many eyelids are there? 3?
I believe it's 30.
3. And I think they removed 2, and then they had to take the eye out. It was just so sad. So sad. So question I have for you about the dog carriers. So if the car, if you have a car and it's not big enough on the back, the floor between the seat and then the back seat, do you put the carrier on the actual back seat and then put a seatbelt across, or you just leave it on the back seat?
Always seatbelt it if it is possible. Back seatbelts it just depends on make and model. year it was bought, all that kind of stuff. It feels like to me that our belts were longer when we had cars in the 50s and 60s and 70s. And now if you're going to have a car from that time, it was a bloody tank. I unfortunately got to test drive this theory. We bought a Odyssey minivan when my girls were little. They were kindergarten and first grade. Came to pick them up, came over Highway 101 on, you got the bridge, because I'm going that way and I've got to go that side and this side. And a woman came off the freeway and I'm like, she's not looking at me. She's not looking at me. Oh my God, please, my children, please be in your car seats. Because they don't. They wiggle out and they do this. Pets do too. You need to find a place. And to end that, she hit me head on. And I hit the guardrail twice because of the impact and just shredded down the whole, and my van was 6 weeks old. But you know what? All of us were fine because my girls were strapped in. I was buckled. So many people say, oh, I don't want to, it's tiring. You remember when seatbelts, I don't know if any of your family or friend did it, but I had this a lot. When the government started telling us we had to wear seatbelts because so many people were dying, there was a lot of backlash. I don't want to do it. But the statistics fall out. When I had the car, it was a minivan towed to the dealership, who, by the way, had just given it to me 5-6 days before. And there's airbags are out and the glass is broken and all that. So I got the brunt of it. The steering wheel didn't injure me. But they asked me if I would take calls on what it was like to go through an accident, because the Odyssey, the minivan, hadn't been on the market very long. And so I did that for a long time. I said, sure, save another life, put your seatbelt on. Because if I hadn't worn my seatbelt, I would have been a part of the glass. And then how am I any good to my daughters? And I want you to think about that with your pets. You might went, oh, but he hates it. He doesn't like it. Be creative. Put a harness, which I mean a chest piece, and they have fabric here. They have just the straps. They have every color on the planet. You don't need to bedazzle anything. And then it goes across their back. For like poodles and all that, they actually have a little handle. People pick them up and put them back down. If you're a big shepherd, maybe not. But can you imagine if your pet is harnessed in a carrier and has a harness, and you can get them out quickly? Because the big part with my kids, getting them out of the car because the car is filled with the smoke, is I had to get them all unbuckled while we were crashed up against a guardrail. And so your pets will go through this same trauma. I want to make your life easy, but I also like to see y'all live through it. Accidents happen every day. And I mean, you dropped something, you lost something, you got hit. And again, the dealership asked me if I would answer questions when this would have been 17 years ago. So this was really, minivan time, but not the sliding doors, where everybody was using it. Do you remember that? Everybody was trying out and we were going downsizing. So people were always like, well, what's it like to drive it? And what is it like to do that? What you need to take into consideration is, I don't know if you've ever thought of this, Dr. Jacalyn, or if you've ever experienced an airbag. My biggest worry is the bag comes out. It comes out and poofs me like a big old puff. It didn't hurt at all. It probably saved my neck. But guess what I couldn't do? I couldn't see anything. The pad was trying to save my life. But I was always like, oh gosh, please let there be no more cars because I can't see them. And it feels like it goes on forever. Your pet will have these same anxieties or concerns. So what I want to impart in you is not to just tell a story. I'm just telling you, it happens to all of us when we're not looking. It can. So let's be proactive. If your animal is in a carrier, he's going to get just jostled, or she's going to get jostled from that, especially if you don't strap it down. If you strap it down, or you got a little bitty cat, little bitty lizard, put it on the floor, a little bit more protection. So that's the idea of, let's think not doom and gloom. This is just the world we live in. So
Yes.
be proactive.
Be proactive. Exactly. That's the great tips that you've been giving and that you've always been giving to help people to provide that education. So thank you for doing that. I know we could have another episode about traveling with pets on a boat or an airplane. So we'll look at doing another episode. What's the best way for people to reach out to you, and who would you like to contact you about working with you?
The pet parents are the absolute expert. We have lots and lots of great people in the field to help. What I ask you is go to my website. That's where I am. You get to hear me every Friday, and US Global TV has all of those recordings and lots of free tips. But when you want any one place to find all of this is bridgingworlds.us. I am about bridging those gaps between their people and their pets and so many other things. So bridgingworlds.us, there's everything you want to know and how the links to look at all these things.
Thank you so much for another outstanding episode today. It's been a blast, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Absolutely. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye. And again, I just want to thank everyone who's watching, whether it's on the live or the replay. If you're not familiar, you can go over to YouTube, to USA Global TV and Radio, and you can subscribe. You can see all of AMINAH's shows there. They're under the playlist, which is called Coexistence and Sustainability. And we'd love to have you follow us on the various platforms. You can see it streaming across right now. And also, again, we just want to thank the new people who are watching us on Instagram. We really do appreciate you and love to have any feedback about how the show is coming over. I believe Pet Psychic Amina was frozen through a lot of the show, but otherwise, any feedback you might have, we'd really appreciate it. All right, let's take a look and a listen to a new clip that is about the Lady Ella books that I have published. And I'd really appreciate any of you who would like to make a purchase for the holidays. Go over to Amazon, put in my name, and you'll see all of the books right there. Let's take a look now.
Interested in learning life lessons as well as how to communicate more effectively as a family, go to Amazon and order Lady Ella's books. They're all there just waiting for you.